Drivers, start your engines!
This is MRN Motorsports Monday. One full hour of news, interviews, and opinion about the past weekend's racing action.
Pace car's turning off. Be ready.
Now here's your hosts, Cain and Joey Meier.
Green flag, green flag.
If you want to turn yourselves into a greasy spot on a country road somewhere, go right ahead. I don't give a shit. I don't think anybody else does, regardless what they say to your face. But you two monkeys are not going to do it on my racetrack. Now, y'all heard of Japanese inspection? You see, when the Japs get in a load of lettuce that they're not sure they want to let in the country, why, they just let it sit on the docks until they get good and ready to look at it. But then, of course, it's all gone rotten. Ain't nothing left to inspect. In other words, lettuce is a perishable item, like you two monkeys. You trade paint one more time, you so much as touch. I'm gonna black flag the two of you, gonna take apart your race car for 300 louts. Then, if you pass inspection and you put your car back together, I might let you get back in the race. Now, just to show us there's no hard feelings, we all gonna go out to dinner together.
Fred Thompson, actor, former U.S. Senator, passed away Sunday in Nashville at age 73. A fitting tribute to him as we open Motorsports Monday today based on what happened in Martinsville. I'm Cain, joined as always by Joey Meier, two-spotter on Twitter, at the number 2spotter. And what in the world have we created here now?
So we honored Fred Thompson. May he rest in peace. Very famous lines, if you're not familiar with, from the Days of Thunder.
Appropriate.
Which was loosely based on racing in the NASCAR world, North Carolina, and he was representing Mr. Bill France Jr. And very well. He represented Mr. France, and that's exactly how being in the red office used to go.
Yeah.
I think there were some meetings after yesterday's race as well. I think there may have been.
At least maybe today.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we know there was a meeting with the driver, crew chief, and owner
yesterday
from the 20 car after the race at
in
Martinsville. And so I'm curious to see how that meeting went, which we'll never know because unless some other network gets it, but we don't have any audio or video of it. But it was rightfully done. The weather, you take that incident out. Let's just take the 20 and the 22 incident out. A great race.
It was
great
filled with
racing.
drama. We were racing against weather and darkness and trying to see the chase go.
As dumb as it sounds, I repeat a statement that my crew chief uses a lot of times. Fast cars go fast. Okay, as dumb as that sounds.
Pretty profound.
Because Martinsville is one of those tracks where when you have a faster car, you can pass people. And if you can't and you're running for second or third and you get stuck behind lap traffic, the faster cars catch you and the faster cars pass you.
Eventually.
So, because the track is short enough that once we get going and we're single file, all 43 cars are lined up around the track with a maximum of 10, 12 car lengths opening anywhere around the track. So it allows the better driver, the better car, the better pit crews to manipulate themselves to stay up front. And if you have a hiccup, if the driver hits a curb, if the car has a problem or the pit crew has a problem and your car is fast, you can still drive forward, which is what we're hoping this 2016 package will do all of next year. So that's why Martinsville's good. You're tight racing. It's essentially the same neck, elbow rubbing thing we like to grow up with around every track around the country, whether it was dirt or short track, and we saw a lot of action, both on Saturday with the truck race and on Sunday.
Yeah, we did, and that's what Martinsville promotes. That's what we see a lot. Meanwhile, we expect, or at least from what we're hearing so far, that we may have a little more coming down on this situation. Steve O'Donnell is the executive vice president of NASCAR, and he spoke with the media at Martinsville Speedway.
Yeah, I think in the case with Matt, we were certainly disappointed with what took place tonight on the racetrack. We had a conversation with Matt, crew chief, and Joe Gibbs, and like we always do, there's still a lot to digest from what happened tonight. We'll do that. We'll have some additional conversations and probably come out with something if there is anything to discuss on Tuesday.
So there you go. That's from NASCAR. They are looking at the situation, and we'll have some more from Steve O'Donnell later on in the program. But the main thing I took away from what he said yesterday, there is more of it. He said that there is a difference between two guys racing for position at the end of a race,
i.e. Kansas,
or whatever situation,
sure.
or Kevin Harvick at Talladega, and a guy laps down getting into somebody at the end of a race.
If you're listening to us now, stay tuned later on. I want to discuss the difference and try to define and make it clear, a little more clear, between accidents and wrecks. And I think with our discussion that will be clear. In my opinion, there was a couple of accidents at Martinsville, and there were a couple of wrecks.
If you want to go deeper, you can define the difference between an accident and an incident. That's a little narrower.
Absolutely.
That's a little bit narrower.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. But on the broad term of things, we have accidents, we have wrecks, we have tropical storms, and we have hurricanes. There was a hurricane a couple of times in Martinsville yesterday.
There surely was. We also got a lot of calls on our fan forum hotline, and you can play along there as well if you'd like to give us an opinion on what you think of the racing on the weekends. If you've got a question you'd like us to ask one of the drivers or officials that we interact with on a regular basis, call 1-844-4-ASK-MRN and leave your message. That's 844-427-5676. We got a bunch of those over the weekend, including Mike from Georgia.
Hey, this is Mike from Livonia, Georgia. Boys have at it, so let them have at it. Let them have their emotions back like they did back in the day. No penalties for Kenseth. No penalties for Joey. Let them have at it. Go, boys.
Yeah.
All right, well, that brings the question, is there a line? We've talked a lot about this over the past few weeks. Is there a line? We talked about the driver code book and you don't do this and you do that. But from NASCAR's perspective, I think there has to be a line somewhere. The question is, where is it?
Right now, I believe we're operating on a substitute teacher mentality. We're going to get away with
You act up when the real teacher's gone?
Yeah, exactly right. And we're going to continue to get away with and push the limits until a line is distinctly drawn. We did a really good job with the restarts. Why? Because they distinctly drew a line, had a penalty, showed where this was, what they did wrong, and they said, okay, we're going to give you a little more room, which is what the drivers were talking about.
Yeah.
The drivers keep talking about this being a self-policing sport. I see very little policing going on. It's just being accelerated and more aggravated, and it's getting worse and worse and worse, and it's going to continue. It's not going to stay the same level. Name me the last time we saw Dale Earnhardt get in a fight. He died in 01, I get it.
Yeah, but before that.
He never got in a fight.
Well, he got water bottles thrown at him by other drivers.
Rusty brought it, and when's the last time we saw the Bobby Allison fight? It was only one time in 1979, very famous. There wasn't a lot of fighting going on back though. Those guys they respected each other, and that's what we're missing right now.
We saw it last year. We saw several incidents post-race. We've seen a few this year.
And it's interesting because a couple of the drivers involved last year are involved this year. There's a level of respect that today's drivers simply don't have that our last generations of drivers had, because we keep pushing these lines. And right now, the line is invisible. We don't know where it is. In my opinion, it's been crossed, but it's invisible. So how do we know?
Right, and I think there is a fine line. You can talk about the boys have at it, like the caller mentioned there, all you want, and that kind of, some people see it as throw open the doors, let them do whatever they want. Some people saw it as, let's don't suppress these guys or push them down so much that they can't say what they think or let their personalities come out. But there's a difference between that and just wrecking somebody. You talk about, over the years, different things have happened in self-policing. We've seen this for years and years and years on the short tracks, even at the NASCAR level. You get me one week, I'm going to get you somewhere down the road.
Sure.
We've seen that for years. That's not all that unusual.
The eye for an eye mentality is what we expect when we go to the places like Bristol, Watkins Glen, Martinsville. And most drivers don't have a problem with an eye for an eye.
Well, how was this an eye for an eye then?
This was an eye for a hand grenade. It wasn't an equal retaliation. It wasn't an equal bump. It wasn't equal.
Why isn't it simply, and I'm playing devil's advocate here, why isn't it simply, you took me out, I'm going to take you out?
Well, last time I checked, Matt didn't hit anything. He got spun out, never hit the wall. He continued on, finished on the lead lap, as a matter of fact, finished that race. I don't think Joey.
So is it the degree of wrecking then?
I don't think. Again, we're talking about an invisible line. We have to draw a line somewhere.
Right, and I think we're about to find out where it is.
Oh, I think we're going to have a good idea this weekend. This is the theme, 100 grand candy bar.
And the precedent, we talked about this before the show, you and I did. The precedent that we could find, or that's close to it, is Jeff Gordon and Clint Boyer at Phoenix back in 2011.
Very similar. We have a past champion with a wrecked car, manipulating his wrecked car laps down to,
or was it 13? I forget the year.
Intentionally wreck a competitor on the lead lap that was in the chase and competing for the championship. So
$100,000 fine, 25 points.
Very, very similar. And people are talking about suspensions and all that. We don't need to suspend the guy. even though it's funny that monetary and points don't really hurt a team as much as they should. I think they're gonna raise an ire and try to attempt. I don't see NASCAR drawing a line.
Yeah.
They're going to try to draw a line.
Right. By setting that precedent.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. That's what we're going to see. We got a big show coming up for you on Motorsports Monday. A little bit later on, Eddie DeHaan, the winning spotter for Jeff Gordon, will be here to tell us how in the world they got through all that and accomplished what they did, getting him the pass to Homestead, Miami, where he will race for a championship in his final season. But up next, a guy in the Truck Series who had his best career weekend, and what a weekend it was. Cameron Hayley joins us on the other side of the break.
This is MRN Motorsports Monday.
Dale Jr. here. I wear Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans for any occasion. With new styles and great fits, you'll look good and feel comfortable anytime, anywhere.
Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans are built with a U-shaped construction, so they give you more room where you need it. And their 4-way flex technology moves with you for all-day comfort.
In the garage or out and about, Wrangler knows the ins and outs of comfort. Wrangler, real comfortable jeans.
Ready to take the training wheels off your race scanner? Go to fanvision.com and upgrade your experience with FanVision. Not only will you be able to hear the race,
Dale Earnhardt Jr. gets a good run, drafting help from Kyle Busch and Kevin Harvick. Jr. again pulls up alongside for the race lead.
You'll see every moment through live video, instant replays, live stats, and more.
Hi, I'm Jamie McMurray, driver of the #1 Cessna Chevrolet, and I never go to the track without my FanVision. So go to fanvision.com to rent or buy yours today.
Hey, I'm Ryan Newman. Now back to Joey Meier and Woody Cain on Motorsports Monday.
Matt Crafton on the inside. To his outside, it's his teammate, Cameron Hayley. Row number 2, John Hunter Nemechek and Brandon Jones coming across looking for the green flag. It is out. Crafton trying to get going. Hayley trying to stay with them. Here comes John Hunter Nemechek to the inside.
Great jump by Crafton. He's up by a half a truck length. He will clear Cameron Hayley down the back straightaway. Hayley takes over the number 2 spot as he gets it into the low line in front of Nemechek, who shoves him right back to the outside and moves underneath him in 4.
John Hunter challenges for second as Matt Crafton crosses the line and sees the white flag. One more trip around Martinsville.
Tyler Reddick contact with Cameron Hayley. Reddick up the racetrack. Here comes Cole Custer to the inside. At the front of the pack, it is all Matt Crafton in turn 4.
Make room in the living room because there'll be a new grandfather clock coming Matt Crafton's way. Across the stripe, Crafton wins here at the Martinsville Speedway.
There you go. That's the way it sounded on Saturday at Martinsville Speedway, the Camping World Truck Series. And the guy you heard a lot about in those closing laps, Cameron Hayley, the driver of the number 13 Carolina Nut Company Toyota Tundra for ThorSport, joins us on the guest line now. Cameron, what a weekend. I guess you guys were kind of foreshadowing what we were going to be seeing on Sunday.
Yeah, for sure. It was a crazy race. We had a great run all weekend. I mean, I don't think we dropped lower than third all weekend, practice, qualifying, race. So I can't say enough about my team, my guys, and it's just a dream come true to run that well.
You guys are inching up in the standings here now, up to 6th as we go to the final few races of the season. Goal-wise, are you doing what you had hoped?
We are. We had a bit of a rough spot there in the middle of the season. Just had some bad luck, ran out of fuel a couple times, but we said these last 5 races in a row, our goal is to go out there, get top 5s, and go for that top 5 in points. And we're 6th at Talladega, really close. We survived that, had a really good run. Now 3rd at Martinsville. We're doing exactly what we need to do to close out this year with a bang.
Having Cameron Hayley on the phone with us, coming off of 3 top 10s, it's a really good run for you guys leaving Martinsville. But before we had to show up to Martinsville years and years ago, you got 15 years of racing experience. You're 19 years old. How did it start back when you were 4?
I started racing go-karts in my hometown, Calgary, Alberta, Canada. I just fell in love with the sport. Actually, it started when I was really 2 years old, going to the racetrack, Race City we used to have in Calgary. I fell in love with the smell, the feel, the just fun atmosphere you get at a racetrack. And when I got in the go-kart at the age of 4, it was all over then. I knew it was going to be what I wanted to do for the rest of my life.
Chatting with Cameron Hayley, who drives the number 13 Carolina Nut Company Toyota Tundra for Thor Sport Racing, coming off a career-best third-place finish at Martinsville on Saturday. Cameron, you mentioned the rough spot in the middle of the season. What has changed since then? Has it been the team getting better, everything working together at the same time, or is it something that you've learned from experience this year that has enabled you to have the finishes you've had recently?
I think it's a combination of everything. We have been given great Tundras all year. Thor Sport is a top-notch team, and it was just about learning the trucks for me, learning the racetrack, but also learning my team. There's just so many firsts for me this year that we had to work it out as a team while trying to get me to learn the tracks, learn the trucks, everything. So everything's just been getting better throughout the year. My crew chief, Jeff Hensley, and I have gotten better throughout the year, and I knew coming into these last 5 races we'd have a really good shot at a win, and I think we're definitely proving that.
All right, so you get a chance to show up to Martinsville. Your teammate ends up winning the race with Matt Crafton, and he's coming off defending a couple championships. Do you lean on him, or is it still too much of a learning experience to actually take advantage of what knowledge he has to share?
Oh, I definitely lean on him a ton. Both him and Johnny have both given me huge support this year. Now we're getting close enough where I can actually go up and run with them and run beside them and run around them. So I'm learning a lot more being able to do that now that we're getting a little bit quicker. And we're still teammates, but we still race each other just as hard as anybody else. But at the same time, that help has been huge for me this year.
Yeah, making it happen way out there in the middle of the country. We've had both Johnny and Matt on the program, and they talk about how cool it is to be in a 100,000-square-foot facility way out in Sandusky, Ohio, and most of the teams are based in North Carolina. Do you feel that kind of insulates the team in some ways from, oh, I'm going to try to get that guy to come over here, or this team may try to get one of our good guys to go over there? Do you feel like it kind of helps?
I think it does. I think it brings us closer as a whole organization. Obviously, Thor Sport's proven with both Crafton and Sauter they're a winning championship team, and I think that just basically, I think just being surrounded, or not surrounded, I guess, by all the other teams and being isolated in Ohio, I think that just helps to bring the team together. We have to work more as a team more than most of the North Carolina teams do, and we share information, we talk with each other, and being isolated, we're just forced to work together more.
So being able to start on the pole was obviously a huge advantage, but you have to run quite a few laps at Martinsville. What issues did you have during the race, if any?
Well, Martinsville was just we really had a solid Tundra throughout the entire race. Obviously, we started second, a really good run for us in qualifying. We knew we had a fast truck, but I wasn't so sure we had a really good long run speed. We got in the race, made a couple adjustments on some of those early pit stops, got our truck just where it needed to be, and kind of just hovered in that top 3 all day. We really never got the shot to go up and take the lead, but at the same time, we were always knocking on the door, and I knew those last couple restarts were going to get rough really quick, and I thought I was going to be set that second to last restart. I think we had 5 to go. I took it, got into second right behind Crafton, and I think I would have had a really good shot at the win, and then the caution comes out. So I knew starting on the outside of Crafton there on that last restart, I had to get going pretty quick. And John Hunter knocked me out of the way there, and that took our chances of getting second, but hung in there for a third. I thought that was a really good day for us.
I mean, you don't sound upset at all, and I think a lot of guys, most of them came up on short tracks. You kind of expect that beating and banging at a short track, don't you?
I do. I'm definitely trying to keep my emotions in check. I'm not super happy with John Hunter. He just hasn't raced Thor Sport with a lot of respect this year. Wrecking Matt at Gateway, wrecking Johnny at Vegas, and now he's got me. So there's definitely a respect level that needs to, I guess, improve between us, our team, and John Hunter. But at the same time, it is Martinsville, and I just look at the positive, and third-place finish for our team right now is great.
Yeah, basing it on Martinsville, do you enjoy that kind of racing, or are you looking forward to more Fort Texas next week?
Well, it's obviously I grew up on short track racing, so I definitely feel more at home there. But at the same time, it's definitely one of the most nerve-wracking races you get into. You never know what's going to happen at the end of that race. Somebody could knock you out of the way, and you could finish 20th. So definitely looking forward to going to Texas where you get some of that control back in your hands and the steering wheel. But at the same time, I'm looking forward to all the racetracks. I just love being in the sport.
Yeah, sitting currently in the 6th position with a big R next to your name, it's got to be a very happy feeling knowing you've got a great 2015 season. Have you had a chance to figure out what 2016 is bringing you?
No, unfortunately, I haven't got anything buttoned down yet. I'd really like to stay with ThorSport. They've given me everything this year. Both Duke and Rhonda Thorson have been so great to me this year and given me this opportunity. And hopefully I'll get the opportunity again next year. And I think next year we're going to be 10 times better than we were this year. This year was a big learning curve, and now that that's out of the way, we can just go and focus on getting wins. So it'd be huge to come back here.
Absolutely. Sounds really good. A career best run over the weekend at Martinsville Speedway. He drives the number 13 Carolina Nut Company Toyota Tundra for ThorSport. Cameron, congratulations and continued success. Look forward to seeing you out in Texas.
You bet. Well, hopefully I can come back on here with some good news from Texas.
Absolutely.
You bet. We'll pencil you in right now. We'll talk later at Texas. All right, man.
Perfect. We'll write it in Sharpie after the race.
Awesome. Thanks, man. Appreciate the time.
Thank
you go. It's cool to see somebody develop like that, and then at the end of the season, you want to have more races to apply what you've learned to this point. But this is a guy and a team who seem to be getting it and moving in the right direction, and that's something to watch.
They've been very, very fortunate to have somebody like the 88 and the 98, and he mentioned 2 seasoned veterans of that sport, along with 2-time defending champion Matt Crafton in the top 3 in points, battling back and forth with 2 other manufactured trucks and young drivers as well. So Matt Crafton is like the adult over there. Let me show you how it's done, kid.
Yeah.
And it shows with him and Duke Thorson, the owner, and Jeff Hensley as crew chief. They've been able to progress all year long. Earlier in the year, you see a couple of crashes and a couple of non-lead lap finishes. Like the last 8, 9, 10 races, all been on the lead lap. We see 3 top 10s with a 10th, 6th, and 3rd. The worst finish was at Bristol. Very, very tough track so far. So those guys are definitely on the Bell side of the learning curve. He's only hoping he can solidify his chances for 2016 because his brain is like a sponge and it's just absorbing all this information.
And he remembers being at the track as a 2-year-old.
Yeah.
How about that? That's pretty cool.
Pretty impressive. And you want to see that we got 3 more races for those guys to go. He's sitting solidly in 6th place, and 2015 needs to be finished solid, which is good. And then 2016 really is promising for those guys.
Absolutely. We want to play along on Twitter with us at MRN Radio. Mine is at WY Cain. Joey's is at 2Spotter, the number 2Spotter. Use the hashtag AskMRN so we can find your question. But as we wrap up this truck segment, we'll go to break and let you hear what Matt Crafton had to say from Victory Lane at Martinsville on Saturday.
Let's talk about the restarts, especially the one where it looked like John Hunter got kind of ridden up just a little bit in what you were able to do to keep and take the lead.
Yeah, he just got, I don't know. I don't know if he hit the curb or he got loose under me. I know I had a really good restart there, and I don't know if he just overdrove that corner a little bit getting into 3. And like I said, it was nice for him just to, ran into me a little bit. That's some of the Bartonsville stuff, and we had a little bit of a bad pass earlier this year, so all in all, this thing was really good on long run. The second to the last run, it got really tight, and like I said, me and Junior talked about it on the radio, and we made a little change right there, and it was game on right there at the end.
And you seem to be able to get down to that lower lane very quickly. How was that? What was your key?
I can't give away all my secrets. Just like I said, racing here quite a few times, just paying attention and a lot of things. And these guys just keep working on these things. And I said it's all about these guys behind me.
Chop the lead down to 10 points with 3 to go. Your thoughts?
We got a long ways to go.
This is MRN Motorsports Monday.
If you're an owner-operator, you know there's a lot of knowledge out on the open road. Freightliner Trucks, the official hauler of NASCAR, created TeamRunSmart.com as an online resource that pulls it all together. TeamRunSmart.com is a site dedicated to helping owner-operators succeed for the long haul. You'll find expert advice on everything from engine maintenance to accounting practices. You can ask questions, find information easily, and be a part of a supportive business community. Share the knowledge at TeamRunSmart.com. Freightliner Trucks. Run smart.
Your regular weekend pit stop for country music at the speed of sound is at America's Tailgate Party, NASCAR USA. Join host Rob Tanner as he cooks up 2 hours of tasty country hits. The grill is sizzling with hot news, features, and reports from the racing hub of North Carolina and straight from the tracks across the country. The race is on, and we've got you covered. Rev up your weekend at America's Tailgate Party, NASCAR USA.
Hey, I'm Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Now back to Joey Meier and Woody Cain on Motorsports Monday.
Here we come. Restart zone. American Ethanol green flag in the air. Jeff Gordon trying to get away. Fender out front. Here comes McMurray battling back on the outside.
They are absolutely dead even through turns 1 and 2. Absolutely dead even to the back straightaway. Leaning on each other as they head for 3. McMurray up by inches in the high lane. Back comes Jeff Gordon. He'll take the lead in 4.
Jamie not making it easy at all, but Jeff Gordon prevails. He pulls out in front with 1 lap to go. Jeff Gordon leads back to 2.
Final time down the back straightaway. Gordon beginning to pull away. The drive for 5 is still alive. Jeff Gordon headed for checkered flag out of turn 4.
Would he win again? The answer is yes. He'll win at Martinsville. Jeff Gordon across the line for the 93rd time in his career.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah, baby. Homestead, boys. That's how you do it. That was huge. That was huge. God, I love you guys. Great job. Way to hang in there. That's what fighting and digging, boys. That's what we do.
Boy, and that was a happy crew, a happy Jeff Gordon after the race, and you could hear the fans roaring even over the engines at Martinsville yesterday as Jeff Gordon takes the number 24 AARP Chevrolet for Hendrick Motorsports to victory lane. 93rd career win, and the man who helped him yesterday from atop the roof, the spotter, Eddie DeHunt, joins us on the guest line now. Eddie, welcome to the program, and congratulations, man. That had to give you some goosebumps.
Hey, thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Tell me about the closing laps there. Everybody starts beating and banging each other. You guys were up front in the mix all afternoon long, and suddenly it's like the seas part, and you go, hey, you know what? We got a really good shot at this thing.
Yeah, I think it's exactly that. I mean, we got a good qualifying position, and we stayed near the front most of the day. And I think when you do that, it puts you in a position. Things can go your way. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. And if you do it more often than not, sometimes it's your day. It was a crazy race yesterday, a lot of emotion.
You think?
I'm sure you all got a lot to talk about today, but it worked out for us. I'm pretty happy about the results.
Yeah. So there's 43 teams. Each team has 20 to 30 guys at the racetrack, let alone the number of people back at the race shop. In full disclosure, Eddie DeHunt and I are pretty good friends.
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, Eddie.
Yeah, right. We spend a lot of time together, but we compete against each other. Mm-hmm. Interesting, and I want to fast forward really quick. I called them today to let them know, hey, you're going to be on the show. He's all right. What are you doing? He says, I'm watching last year's Texas race. And I said to him, spoiler alert, you're not going to like the end.
Wow. Really? You can't even let him enjoy a day?
Yeah, you're not going to like the end of the Texas race. Anyway, so now we back forward. We go to Martinsville. How much did you have to preach to Jeff about no mistakes, referencing the last time you guys were there with a really fast car? One of your jobs is talking to the driver and preaching. How much was that a requirement yesterday?
Yeah, we did talk about it. Actually, on the parade laps, about pit road, and we kind of giggled a little bit about it. We have our performance meeting on Tuesdays. We talked about it in more detail there, examining pit road and timelines and stuff like that. Look, I think the one thing about Jeff, if he makes a mistake, he's a man about it. He comes right out and said that's on me, and he did exactly that in the spring. And we're all pushing this to the edge every single second we're doing this. I'm not sure people realize that, and sometimes we're going to go over the edge. I mean, even in what Joey and I do, we're pushing it to the edge, and we're not always going to get everything right. I think the guys that are a little better than some of the guys up there get right more often than others, but it's people are going to make mistakes, and I think what we're seeing here is our team's been fortunate. And I emphasize that word because things can change when you push things to the umpteenth level. We've been fortunate that the last 5 or 6 races have been basically mistake-free races for us, and I think that's been a key to our success here lately.
Yeah, I do too. I think we've talked about this a lot on the show. It's not so much the guys who are seizing it by the throat. It's the guys who are avoiding the costly mistakes, who are advancing under this particular format we've got right now. We're chatting with Eddie DeHaan, the spotter for Jeff Gordon, after their big win at Martinsville yesterday. Gets them into the championship at Homestead Miami Speedway. But before we get to that point, Eddie, we've been talking a lot on the show about this mythical driver code book and lines you can cross and lines you don't cross. Do you think there is a clear understanding among the competitors now about how far is too far, or is NASCAR going to have to step in and lay the hammer down?
You know, I'm not sure. I've been on both ends of this. In one conversation, I could take one stance, and another, I could see the other stance. You know, I grew up racing old school, where it was eye for an eye, and so I kind of get that. But I also think our racing has changed a little bit. You know, our evolution of the rules and how our leaders are looking at it, and the fact that, let's not mistake that we're an entertainment-based business.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a lot to factor in. You know, I'm not sure how I feel about what went on yesterday. I do not ever want to see someone get hurt in a situation like that. But I've been on both ends of it, so I kind of can see both guys' points. I don't know that it's going to change a whole lot, even if they do rule against Matt. You know, because these guys are competitors, and they also know that behind them, like Joey just said a while ago, there's 23, 30 guys, and sometimes more for each of these teams that have busted their butt on these cars. You know, and they take just as much pride as the driver does. So there's a lot to it that goes behind the scenes. It's got a lot of veins.
Yeah, see, Joey, I'm the same way. I'm kind of wrestling with it, just like Eddie said there. I mean, I can see both sides of it. Obviously, you had a bigger vested interest yesterday because you guys were right in the middle of it, but I'm kind of wrestling with it as well.
Yeah, I don't know if we were in the middle of that controversy. We have our own little controversies for sure. We've got Eddie DeHaan on the line. He's the winning spotter for Jeff Gordon and is one of the only known people so far to go to Homestead and compete for a championship. We have 2 more races to go. Eddie, a lot of people get a chance to listen in on our radio conversations throughout the week, and that's the only thing they know what a spotter does. But realistically, a lot goes on behind the scenes, and I wanted you to have an opportunity. What's the week of a normal spotter like?
I don't know about normal, but I can tell you what mine is.
Okay. I was going to say the same thing. What's normal?
Yeah. No, I mean, had a little dinner last night, got up 7 o'clock this morning, and went right to my computer, and here's why. The second half of my job is on Mondays. I put together 2 reports, and the first report is I rank the top 10 pit stalls for each track we're going to and give an explanation why. And then I'll also pick what I call a sleeper pit stall in the event that they don't qualify well that might be available. And you know, it's come down to that. The crew chiefs are doing so much right now, and you know, they're delegating. And 2 years ago, I got delegated the job of putting this report together. And there's a lot that goes into it. I look at an engineering study that we get provided from Pratt & Miller. I also use a lot of information I put together. That's the first report I do. The second report is I'll watch at least 1, maybe 2 of the last races that we've had at the venue that we're going to, and I'll just make general notes of stuff that I see, stuff that I notice. For example, the last Martinsville race, the track didn't rubber up till lap 250, and that was an advantage for our car once it did. I think yesterday it didn't rubber up, nothing like it did in the spring, and Joey and I talked about that on the way home.
Yeah.
And so that's helpful information for the driver. And so I'll put a whole report of everything I see, pit stops, when they happen, what the team that won, what was their strategy, why did they win, and so forth. And it's a pretty detailed report. That takes me all the way up to 8, 9 o'clock tonight. I'm in the middle of doing it right now.
Well, that's a good note about what you mentioned earlier about the evolution of the sport.
Yeah. And then the second part of my week is tomorrow we have a performance meeting at our shop, and driver, crew chief, and three or four of our engineers and myself all attend. And it's usually a couple, 3 hours, and the first half of it, we'll debrief the race that we just came from, and the second half of it, we'll pre-brief the race we're going to. And we cover a whole tandem of items all the way down to weather and, throttle traces on the last race and stuff like that. It's pretty intense. And Alan Gustafson, I'm not so sure this guy gets the credit he deserves. He's held our team together all year when it could have folded easily. And he's a pretty good leader, I have to say. And I have a lot of accolades for him.
Yeah, it's showing up in the numbers for sure. So, Eddie, before we let you go, then, just at first glance, first blush, what jumps out at you about racing at Texas?
Whole lot of different lanes, wind, pit stalls, qualifying good, and putting yourself to be up front in the last 100 laps.
Stay away from the 2-car.
Oh, boy, here he goes. See, can't you be polite to company?
I'll end this with a funny story. When we got into confrontation last year, it just so happens, like many tracks, Joey and I stand next to each other up top, and both of us witnessed everything went on. I mean, you can imagine the emotions for our team. With 2 laps to go, we had a 14-car length lead. Just had to come around 2 more times, and caution came out, and within 3 minutes, we were finishing 28th, a couple laps down. And our chase hopes very much in peril. And then our team started duking it out with each other, and Joey looked at me, and he said to me, and I quote, "You're not going to hit me, are you?"
Well, did you?
No.
No. And he took off to go fly his plane home, and we just kind of smiled about it. As he said, we're pretty good friends, as a lot of us up there are. I mean, it's a pretty tight group.
Absolutely. Really cool stuff. Well, Eddie, congratulations on another big win and the chance to race for a championship in Homestead. You guys have it going on, and now you can kind of watch everybody scrap it out while you guys start plotting strategy. Congratulations.
Okay, thank you, sir.
All right, go back to work.
There you go,
Yes,
boy.
sir.
You know what? Be nice to company when we have him on. That's Eddie DeHunt, the spotter for Jeff Gordon after their big win for AARP on the number 24 car at Martinsville yesterday. How cool was that, talking about all the detail that he goes through and the reports he has to do? It's not just standing on top of the roof.
No, years ago, the spotter wasn't even required. He was an extra guy, a truck driver, somebody was cooking. Go up there and see what you tell me. Then you started bringing a guy to the track that worked on the car, and then when practice or the race started, he went up on the roof. But now it requires so much more involvement and so much more time away from your family and so much more dedication to the team and the crew chief and the driver.
Very specialized.
It is a specialized sport. Or a specialized position. It's no different than a tire guy or the shop guy, other than the fact that a lot of the guys in the shop don't see the spotters during the week. It doesn't mean a lot of these guys aren't working. Now, not everybody has the detail that an Eddie DeHunt does.
Yeah.
A lot of them do. When they go to a race, they can tell you cautions come out at lap 27 most of the time. Most of the guys pick stall 8. There's a lot of detail that goes on that simply other people, we stand on the roof. We don't just stand on the roof, and it's pretty interesting. He has a Mini Cooper. We all took
Wait,
turns.
what?
He's got a Mini Cooper.
Oh,
so his turn to drive was yesterday. Well, it's myself, TJ Majors, and Eddie DeHunt. All 3 really good cars in practice with a good chance of winning.
Yep.
So we all make plans. We all have an idea of what's going on after the race if one of us wins.
The other 2 got to hang around and wait.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
or we get rides. We But Eddie shows up. The only thing he's doing is apologize. Oh, I'm so sorry you had to wait on me. We're like, dude, it's cool. Dude, it's really cool.
Yeah.
So we drive home. Now we're stuck in the thresholds of traffic all the way home, and I keep looking over and going, you won the race.
Oh, yeah.
It's really cool. You won the race. He goes, thanks. He's got his victory lane hat on. He's driving the
That's
Mini
cool.
Cooper in traffic.
Yeah.
I just keep, you won the race.
That's pretty cool.
Oh, man, I'm so sorry you had to wait on me. But it is a good relationship. It's a
Yeah.
very tight-knit. We travel 38, 40 times a weekend, and we do build these relationships.
Absolutely fantastic. We've still got a lot more to come on the program. On Track, Off Track is up next. Some more of your fan forum calls. We'll hear more from Steve O'Donnell, NASCAR's Executive Vice President, about what may or may not happen or what they're thinking about the incidents at Martinsville Speedway. But as we go to break here, let's let you hear what Jeff Gordon had to say in Victory Lane after he won at Martinsville, and pay special attention. Just listen to the crowd behind him.
Oh my gosh, I didn't think they could get any better, but to win here at Martinsville in front of this crowd that stuck around.
I think you got a few fans. Nobody has left.
I tell you, there's no greater feeling for a race car driver than to pull up to victory lane or this checkered flag or finish line and have that kind of reaction from the crowd, that reaction from my team, and to have my family come up, this is unbelievable. This is, I feel like I'm dreaming right now. I'm afraid I'm going to wake up and this is not going to be true. But we knew this was our opportunity, and, we were just kind of trying to do our best throughout the whole day, trying not to burn the rear tires off of it, needing some long runs. And, of course, a lot of things unfolded that were unfortunate, but sometimes, you gotta be there and take advantage of those opportunities, and this team did that today. I'm so proud of them, so proud of Alan, this whole team. They've been working so hard, and we wanted this moment so bad, and here it is. It happened.
This is MRN Motorsports Monday.
The road to victory lane isn't just for drivers anymore. Introducing the official daily fantasy game of NASCAR at DraftKings.com, America's favorite daily fantasy sports site. Just pick a team of 5 drivers and stay under the salary cap. Outscore your opponents and win. Hurry to DraftKings.com now and use promo code COAST to play for free. You could win part of the $1 billion in prizes being awarded this year. Enter COAST to play for free now at DraftKings.com. That's DraftKings.com.
It's all over at Martinsville, Virginia. Richard Petty has pulled it off.
Throwback Thursday, classic MRN race broadcasts on MRN.com.
Waltrip will win the track race to turn 3. Earnhardt gets him. Hard into the wall goes Waltrip. Hard goes Earnhardt. Everybody else spins either way.
Out of the number 4 corner down to the line. Neil Bonnet is going to win. The Northwestern Bank 400. He'll beat Waltrip a 2-car length.
What a finish here at North Wilkesboro.
Throwback Thursday, Thursdays at 12:30 Eastern on MRN.com.
Hey, I'm Martin Truex Jr. Now back to Joey Meier and Woody Cain on Motorsports Monday. Joey Meier. Is that the Joey Meier, the spotter? Pilot? Joey Meier, pilot, spotter, is on the radio. You guys actually, wow. Can you record this? Can you record this and be like, wow, Joey Meier's on the radio. Unbelievable.
I think the chase format creates great racing on the track, and you saw 6 of the 8 competitors who are going for a championship lead laps today, drivers at their best. So, you're going to see drivers going door to door, and that's been in the history of NASCAR. We've seen that. So, again, I'd go back to this incident as a one-off that we'll look at, but we continue to believe that the chase promotes great racing on the track, and I think the fans certainly saw that today.
Steve O'Donnell, NASCAR's executive vice president, addressing the media yesterday after the incidents, a couple of them involving Matt Kenseth. We also had one with Danica Patrick and David Gilliland along the way, and that kind of is a springboard to our on-track, off-track segment in terms of what they're thinking. For you, on track, what happened this weekend?
On track, a great year of 2015. Unfortunately, Jeff Gordon's going to retire. To ride off in the sunset would be a storybook ending.
Mm-hmm.
He just got on a horse.
He sure did.
He just punched his ticket. He's only won 1 race in the year. He picked the race to win to catapult him and his team and everybody else around him and his supporters and his legion of fans to Homestead, one of only 4 drivers that are going to compete for a championship, and we know Jeff Gordon gets to compete for his 5th championship.
And how about the crowd behind him in that interview?
Doesn't get any better.
Yeah.
What's interesting about crowds, years ago, that same crowd, the same number of people would have been booing the same guy.
And did. Yeah.
And a lot of drivers have gone through this. Dale Earnhardt, Darrell Waltrip, Jeff Gordon. These guys have all had people boo them throughout the career, and that's good. Now you have drivers like Brad Keselowski and Kyle Busch that have those boos. We'll see years to come if those boos turn into cheers. Right now, the cheers are for Jeff Gordon, knowing we're going to see the cheers for Tony Stewart next year, knowing that he's ending his career, retiring in the Sprint Cup Series. Great fairy tale ending. You couldn't write it any better if you were writing a book.
I think Eddie DeHaan would probably tell you, if he wins at Homestead, you could.
That's correct. We're going to have to see Homestead, and I'm hoping to be able to compete with him as well, so we'll see. But right now, the 24 car is riding a fairy book ending.
Absolutely, and it's great to see. You could hear the emotion in the crowd when he was talking with our Winston Kelly in Victory Lane after that. All right, for me, on track kind of relates to what you said and as well what Steve O'Donnell said. Boys, have at it. Remember a few years ago when Robin Pemberton said that, everybody thought it was going to be Katie bar the door and we're not going to be able to, it's going to be the wild, wild west. Nobody's ever going to be able to control anything. It promoted some really good racing, as Steve O'Donnell said there. We've seen a lot of drama, particularly with this chase format last year and the elimination races that we've seen along the way. We've also seen some guys bumping guys out of the way to get to victory lane. We've seen a lot of that drama that we might not have seen. Remember the context and the atmosphere when Boys Have At It came out. There were a lot of complaints that NASCAR was being too hard on guys to penalize them even for what they said. Not what they did, but what they said. And there was a push to loosen the reins a little bit. We got that. We got the Boys Have At It. Now we're at a situation where I wonder where is the line, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later. But the Boys Have At It situation, to me, has been a good thing.
Yeah, one of the things that labeled 5-time champion Jimmy Johnson was vanilla. And there was
He's
effort.
really not. People think that, but he's not.
Yeah. He's playing a position. He's filling the position that's needed. He's not a vanilla guy.
I can remember a few years ago, he came to our hauler, stood around waiting for an interview with us. We stood in the back of the hauler while it was raining, and he stood there for 30 minutes trading Caddyshack lines with us. You know? I mean, that's what he's like.
But the Boys Have At It was an attempt to try to loosen up the reins on guys' personality and get more personality. It's worked. It's definitely worked. We've seen more personality. But I think the reins now have to be tightened up a little bit.
Right. All right. What about for off track? What do you
got
got there?
Right in the go. I think the lawless nature of our sport has gotten to where we need to reel in a little bit. Again, I use the mentality, a substitute teacher or babysitter mentality. Right now, after the Kansas wreck, I thought it was very incorrect for our management in NASCAR to get out and really promote the action that Joey Logano did with Matt Kenseth. Behind closed doors, I can say, hey, if you agree with it, great. I don't think it was great for Joey to go out and promote, hey, I wrecked the guy. I spun him out. He didn't hit the wall, but I spun him out and took something from him for my own self-gain. And I didn't think it was good for the sport to promote that, because now we just create a lawless mentality. Whereas if he got away with it, what more can I get away with? We're not just simply trying to get away with what he did. We want more. We're racers. This is a selfish sport. And right now, that's where I think the line has been crossed to go from selfish, okay? Joey Logano's actions at Kansas were selfish. It was for his personal gain. Kevin Harvick's actions, Talladega, was for his personal gain, trying to move his team forward, right?
Yeah.
There was no personal gain for that team after Matt wrecked 9 laps down. It was a vindictive mentality.
Right.
And
but see,
that's where my line.
Right.
That's where my line is. When you go from selfish, racing for a win, racing for 5th on the same lap, at least racing for position, to not really anymore. It's not about racing. It's simply about hurting you. It's not tackling the quarterback. It's tackling him and breaking his kneecap. And there's the line. I don't know where it is, but that's how I know from one side. One side of the line is when you do something selfish as a sport and trying to promote yourself and your team, to the other side of the line where it has nothing to do with gaining. You're not gaining a position. You're not gaining a victory. You're taking something away from somebody else, and that's vindictive. And that's the line, I believe, from selfish to vindictive, and we've crossed that.
See, this is where I kind of get into what Eddie DeHaan was mentioning earlier about kind of wrestling with it, because the fans of Matt Kenseth are going to say one thing, the fans of Joey Logano are going to say completely another thing, just like when it happened at Kansas. One side was saying one, the other side was saying something completely different. My off track is also Boys Have At It, because I agree we've kind of gotten to the point now where we may have stepped on that line, and I wonder what NASCAR is going to do. We should hear something. Typically, penalty announcements are made late afternoon on Tuesdays. We should hear something there. But on the one hand, I can see where a guy 8, 10 laps down, however many it was that the 20 was down, takes out a guy who's running for the win. I can see that argument clearly. The difference, as NASCAR said, was in the first one at Kansas, it's 2 guys on the lead lap racing for the win toward the end of a race. This one guy had no chance to win the race anymore, and I see that. However, like we mentioned earlier, the old school racing used to say from that mythical driver code book, okay, you get me this time. I've got a long memory. I'm going to get you later. I would rather see a situation where it happens at a track like a Martinsville rather than a Talladega, where someone could get killed. Not that they couldn't at a short track, but you get the point I'm trying to make. That is where I'm wrestling with it. Old school dictates, you get me this time, I'm going to get you later. Now we've gotten that, and some fans are happy, some fans are mad. I guess it's good that everyone is talking about the sport, but Boys Have At It may have, I agree with you there, may have gone too far, and I wonder where that line is.
Well, it's going to be determined by the parent of this company that we call NASCAR. They're going to be in Daytona, and they're going to be discussing it. They're unhappy with the actions of not only a former champion, but I believe they're unhappy with several drivers in the back. The retaliatory mentality of simply getting more or doing more damage than was done to you is where it keeps escalating. What would have happened yesterday, or what would have happened at Kansas had somebody gotten hurt? You know, the only thing that's preventing this from happening is our technology advancements throughout the year from 2001.
Do you feel like that makes guys bolder with what they do?
Absolutely, 100%. They know how secure and safe their race cars are. They're willing. That's why we use Martinsville as a good example, or Bristol, because we know the speeds are down. We're not trying to hurt them, but we can't guarantee they're not getting hurt.
Yeah.
You know, again, the difference between selfishness and vindictiveness. Or a revengeful mentality. You know, the Mike Tyson, Darrell and I were talking, the difference between Mike Tyson, who's one of the most vicious boxers in the world.
Yeah.
What did he do when he realized he was losing?
Bit a guy's ear.
Bit a guy ear off. Had nothing to do. He crossed the line.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe hit him below the belt. Do something. You're fighting the guy.
Right.
No, I'm not going to fight him anymore. I'm going to bite his ear off. And
as a boxer, you don't expect to have to defend that.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not wearing a helmet to keep this guy from biting my ears off. And I think that's where the difference goes between accidents and wrecks, is where you start getting into that wreck mentality, and then you realize, well, I have nothing to gain, so I'm just going to take somebody else. And that's where the line keeps getting jumped and jumped and jumped.
All right, let's kind of recap what happened yesterday for those of you who may have been living under a rock. We'll start off with the incident between Matt Kenseth and Joey Logano, and then hear from both of them afterwards.
Off turn number 2 they come, and down the back straightaway. Matt Kenseth has returned to the track. He is well off the pace, just trying to log some laps right now. Logano's lead continues at 6 car lengths.
Stack it up from 7th on back. That's where Ryan Newman leads a parade of 3 cars. Casey Cain is there.
Trouble in one! Matt Kenseth just wrecked Joey Logano. He waited on him, and as the leader came by, Kenseth rammed him all the way to the safer barrier in turn number 1. We all know where the story came from. Payback for Matt Kenseth.
Well, Tom Logano was headed to the care center. He knew that's where Matt Kenseth was, and he was making a beeline. Who grabbed him? It was his crew chief. Todd Gordon literally tackled him, held on to him with both arms. They had to restrain him with 3 other Pennzoil-clad members of Joey Logano's team to keep Tom Logano from getting to the care center to try to go after Matt Kenseth.
Let's hear what Joey Logano was saying to his spotter, Tab Boyd.
Still down there. Still down there. Still down there. Still down there. You That's a chick move right there.
There you go. That was Tab Boyd, who's been on the show before and talking with Joey about trying to tell him Matt Kenseth was there. Meanwhile, Matt Kenseth, as we heard, was at the care center. Here's what he had to say when he came out.
Matt, first of all, what happened in the situation there with Joey?
Well, I don't know exactly. They were both jacking up the restart, trying to let each other in, and I got in there and tried to pass Joey, and Brad got into me off the corner real hard. So I don't know what happened, and definitely wrecked our day.
How about on the other end, the situation that happened with Joey here going into turn number 1?
Yeah, definitely my fault. I got into him, so the right front was dragging down there, and probably should have went to the garage area and went into the corner there and couldn't get it to turn and collected him. So I know it's got to be disappointing for him. It's a tough sport. Some days you're the bat, some days you're the ball. I was a ball a few weeks ago, and I was a ball again today. So that part is never fun.
All right, and now to close it out, to fill the circle, here's Joey Logano.
Joey, in your words, put into your words your disappointment and what happened.
I got wrecked. I mean, it was just, I don't know what am I supposed to say about it. He just, his race is over, and he tried so hard to crash us the first time he took out half the field, and then he was successful the second time, so I give that to him. But kind of a coward move. Actually, really a coward move for a race car driver to do that, and especially someone as mature and as he's an experienced race car driver that knows what this is all about. And for us, we're just going to go back out there. We're going to try to salvage a point or two if we can, and just have to go to Texas and try to win. We've on a heck of a run. We were still leading the race. We're not going to let this take us down. This is a strong team, and he'll have his.
There you go. So after it all is said and done, I think it was appropriate what Matt said. Some days you're the bat, some days you're the ball.
Yep, and the difference between a wreck and an accident. The incident with Kurt Busch, Brad Keselowski, and Matt Kenseth on the restart was an accident. No driver had any intent, and I can say that with 100% fact. we had a part failure on the 2 car.
At that point, all three of you guys were in contention.
Yeah, second, third, and fourth in position. Joey had just taken a lead on a restart. We banged wheels with Matt. We broke a tie rod. Clearly mechanical failure. If you watch the replay, you can see the right front wheel wobbling.
Like a grocery store cart
Exactly,
wheel.
like an old grocery cart wheel. After we hit once, then we get into Matt the second time. That split second on video, you can clearly see what happening. The in-car camera was able to show that. That's an accident. There's no intent.
Did you get some contact from the 41 on that before it started?
Well, he was from behind on
Pushing
the restart.
on the restart.
Pushing on the restart. Clearly a Martinsville restart. We're allowing the Joey to get to the bottom. That was part of the plan with the teammates working together. We saw it all day long with different teammates. It just so happened that Brad and Joey were up front for a majority of the day, so it happened a lot more often. I saw Matt let Kyle in. I saw different drivers of different teams, the Kurtz and the Kevin Harvicks, let each other in. That happened all day long. That was an accident. What happened with the 20 and the 22 was a wreck, and there's the difference. Accidents most likely don't have somebody to blame. They only have people involved. A wreck normally has somebody that says, that guy wrecked.
That guy did it, right. Let's finish up this segment with one of our fan calls from the Ask MRN line. You can check them out there. We'll give you the number in a moment. But let's hear from, number 12, Dale in South Carolina.
Matt Kenseth, Joey Logano. Matt has obviously been bumped around quite a bit, and there's one way we used to handle it in the South and the way we handled it for many years. You go out and you take care of business. I mean, these two guys, Matt obviously felt he was wronged, and he did what he had to do. Well, you can stop it, NASCAR. Obviously, you can tell the drivers they're not allowed to ever touch each other again. Growing up in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, I've seen some of the best beating and banging and fights and helmet throws and garage brawls, and I've watched it on dirt tracks, and I've watched it here, and you can only get wronged so many times by someone until that's it, the pressure cap goes. And you want to know how all the fans feel about what happened in that race? Go back and listen to the audio when that crash happened. You didn't hear a lot of boos coming from that grandstand. I think that tells the tale. And you can either sit around and be a punching bag, or you can get in there and throw a few punches yourself. Thanks.
This is MRN Motorsports Monday.
Dale Jr. here. I wear Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans for any occasion. With new styles and great fits, you'll look good and feel comfortable anytime, anywhere.
Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans are built with a U-shaped construction, so they give you more room where you need it. And their 4-way flex technology moves with you for all-day comfort.
In the garage or out and about, Wrangler knows the ins and outs of comfort. Wrangler, real comfortable jeans.
Live sports are the one true reality entertainment, where a single dramatic moment can become timeless. In NASCAR, Motor Racing Network's live broadcasts elevate your senses to the sights, sounds, and struggles taking place on the racetrack.
Keselowski to the bottom of the racetrack. He tries to slide up. Newman is there. Sideways is Keselowski.
The power of radio to the imagination of the listener. Tune in to the Motor Racing Network. Visit MRN.com for an affiliate list in your local area.
Hey, I'm Michael Waltrip. Now back to Joey Meier and Woody Cain on Motorsports Monday.
The chase promotes great racing, and we saw that today on the racetrack. We saw a lot of different competitors out there competing for the win. I think what was disappointing today was in the incident that I think we're referring to would be a driver that's not competing for a win. In fact, was as many laps down when that happened. So, in our minds, that's a little bit different than two drivers really going after it, coming out of turn 4 for a win versus what happened tonight.
Steve O'Donnell, NASCAR's Executive Vice President, talking about the incidents at Martinsville. We expect to hear more from them during the week along the way. I think they're going to do something.
They're being asked to draw a line.
Absolutely, they are. We got a Twitter question right now. Mr. Y. Noel Bandit wants to know, of the 3 drivers who had problems at Martinsville, who stands the best chance to move on to Homestead?
You know, I wear a 2 on my hat here, the Lions. I bet everybody would say, oh, the 2 car. I actually believe Joey Logano has the most been consistent of the 3, the 22, the 41, and the 2. I believe Joey has the best chance. I think we can go to Texas or Phoenix and win those races based on past performance.
Yeah.
But if we look back for the rest of the year, Joey has been the most consistent of those 3.
I would agree with that along the way as well. You can play along on Twitter with us, at MRN Radio. Use the hashtag AskMRN. Now back to our fan forum hotline. A question from Roger from Belmont.
My question is,
Has there ever been a driver that did not win a race that won the championship?
Yeah, so what happened was back in 03, Matt Kenseth won one race and made the championship and won it. Well, they got not mad, but he points raced, so to create the chase was in 04. The only series of the three that have won no races and won a championship was Austin Dillon a couple years back in the Nationwide Series in 2013. Won no races, but sat top 5 all year long and brought home the championship trophy. His trophy for winning no races says champion.
Absolutely it does. You can play along with us as well on the Fan Forum hotline. Give us a call, 844-4-ASK-MRN. Don't forget, Motor Racing Network heads to Texas Motor Speedway for the Camping World Truck Series. We'll have that one for you this coming Saturday, or rather this coming Friday at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. And don't forget, join us every Monday right back here. I'm Woody, he's Joey. See you next time.
You've been listening to MRN Motorsports Monday. Tune in again next Monday at noon for all the latest news, results, and interviews from NASCAR on MotorRacingNetwork.com. MRN Motorsports Monday is also available on demand at the MotorRacingNetwork.com Media Center, or download it from iTunes or Stitcher. MRN Motorsports Monday is a production of the Motor Racing Network. All rights reserved.